Hello, and welcome back to Sophia's Stoicism, the place where we don't just talk about ancient wisdom, we live it, we apply it, we transform with it. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that, frankly, is often misunderstood, sometimes even feared, but holds immense power for those willing to truly see. We're going to talk about what many call female weaknesses, but what I prefer to frame as unseen strengths, profound emotional truths that, when understood through the lens of Stoicism, they don't just make you a better man, they make you an unforgettable one. For too long, the narrative around understanding women has been shrouded in mystery, manipulation, or endless, frustrating attempts to figure them out. We've been told they're complicated, unpredictable, and ultimately unknowable. But what if I told you that this complexity isn't a barrier, but an invitation to a deeper, more authentic connection that bypasses the superficial and touches the very core of what it means to be human, to be truly present, and to be genuinely powerful. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about gaining an unfair advantage. This is about awareness, Stoic awareness. While the world around you is busy chasing fleeting charms, trying to be endlessly agreeable or performing for validation, you, my friend, will be cultivating something far more potent, a calm, collected, and profoundly impactful presence. A presence that doesn't just attract, but disarms. A presence that doesn't just impress, but inspires trust. In this journey, we're going to peel back the layers of common misconceptions and reveal 9 profound insights. Some of these might surprise you, some might make you nod in quiet recognition, and a few, just a few, might finally illuminate past experiences, perhaps even a breakup that you never quite understood. So, buckle in, because what you're about to learn isn't just going to flip the script on attraction, it's going to redefine what it means to be a man of substance in a world craving authenticity. If you're tired of confusion, tired of feeling like you're constantly trying to win her over, and ready to step into a new level of self-mastery, then hit that subscribe button. This isn't about being the nice guy. This is about becoming the right man, the one no woman forgets. Let's dive in. Let's dive deep. A1. Confidence that doesn't ask for permission, the unshakable core. Let's begin with perhaps the most foundational insight, one that often eludes men despite its apparent simplicity. The profound power of confidence that doesn't seek external validation. The original content rightly points out that what truly draws a woman in isn't noise, but presence. It's not about flashy displays or overt attempts to impress. It's about an internal state of being so grounded, so self-assured, that it radiates outward without effort. This isn't a performance. It's a fundamental alignment with your own worth. Think about it from a Stoic perspective. Epictetus, the former slave who became one of Stoicism's most influential teachers, constantly reminded his students to distinguish between what is within their control and what is outside of it. Your confidence, your self-worth, your inner state, these are entirely within your control. The opinions of others, their reactions, whether they are impressed or not, these are external and beyond your direct influence. Yet, so many men spend their lives chasing external validation, believing that if they can just get enough approval, enough compliments, enough attention, then they will finally feel confident. This is a fool's errand, a constant striving that leaves one perpetually dependent and, ironically, deeply insecure. The paradox here is profound. The more you chase her approval, the less she feels attracted. Why? Because genuine attraction isn't built on neediness. It's built on strength, on a sense of self-sufficiency. When you are constantly seeking validation, you are, in essence, communicating a lack of self-worth. You are saying, subtly, that you are not enough on your own and you need her to complete you. This is a heavy burden to place on anyone, and it stifles the very attraction you seek. The original content articulates this beautifully. She only feels safe when you stop seeking her approval. This isn't about being aloof or uncaring, it's about being whole. My own journey with this concept has been a long and often challenging one. For years, especially in my younger days, I was the quintessential nice guy who thought that if I just did enough, gave enough, and pleased enough, I would be loved and desired. I would meticulously plan dates, overanalyze every text message, and constantly seek reassurance that I was doing things right. I remember one particular instance in college. I was infatuated with a woman who seemed to embody everything I thought I wanted. I spent weeks trying to impress her, going out of my way to help her with assignments, listening intently to her every problem, and offering solutions. I was, in short, trying to be her everything. I thought I was being attentive and caring, but in hindsight, I was being needy. I was constantly seeking her approval, her validation, her sign that I was worthy of her attention. The more I chased, the more she seemed to pull away. It was a subtle, almost imperceptible withdrawal at first, but it was there. She would become less responsive, her enthusiasm would wane, and eventually she simply drifted away. I was heartbroken and utterly bewildered. I couldn't understand what I had done wrong. I had been so nice, so helpful, so available. It wasn't until much later, when I began to seriously delve into Stoicism, that the pieces started to click. I realized that my actions, while well-intentioned, were rooted in a fundamental insecurity. I wasn't acting from a place of inner abundance, but from a place of perceived lack. I was trying to earn her affection, rather than simply being the kind of man who naturally inspires it. The Stoics teach us about apatheia, not apathy in the modern sense, but a state of being free from irrational passions and disturbances. This includes the disturbance of constantly needing external validation. When you are truly confident, you are not swayed by the ebb and flow of external opinions. You are like a rock in a stormy sea, unmoving, unwavering. This doesn't mean you become arrogant or dismissive. On the contrary, true confidence allows for genuine humility and empathy. When you are not constantly worried about how you are perceived, you are free to truly listen, to truly connect, and to truly give without expectation. It's the difference between giving a gift because you genuinely want to and giving a gift because you expect something in return. One is an act of generosity, the other is a transaction. Women, consciously or unconsciously, sense this distinction. They are drawn to the man who is complete within himself, who doesn't need them to fill a void. They are drawn to the man who stands on his own ground, inviting them to join him, rather than trying to carry them or be carried by them. Consider the concept of prohairesis, the Stoic term for our faculty of choice, our inner citadel. This is the only thing truly within our control. Our judgments, our intentions, our values, these are ours to command. When your confidence stems from this inner citadel, from a deep understanding and acceptance of your own values and principles, it becomes unshakable. It's not dependent on how well a conversation goes, or whether she smiles at you, or if she responds to your text. It simply is. This is the kind of confidence that doesn't flinch in silence, doesn't collapse when she pulls away, and doesn't need external permission to feel worthy. It's the kind of confidence that says, I am here, I am myself, and I am enough. And in a world saturated with performative masculinity, that quiet, unyielding self-possession is not just attractive, it's profoundly magnetic. It's the kind of energy that owns the room, not by demanding attention, but by simply existing. It's the memory that lingers, not because you pushed, but because you didn't need to. This is the true power of confidence that asks for no permission, because it already has all the permission it needs from within. 2. Being understood without explaining everything. The power of presence. Moving on to our second profound insight, one that speaks to a deep, often unarticulated yearning within many women, the desire to be understood without the exhausting burden of constant explanation. The original content touches on a crucial truth. As we mature, emotional exhaustion often replaces emotional outbursts. This isn't a sign of emotional detachment, but rather a weariness from repeatedly trying to articulate one's inner world to those who seem unwilling or unable to truly listen. For many women who have often carried significant emotional weight and faced dismissal or misinterpretation, silence can become a defense mechanism born out of fatigue rather than peace. This is where many men, often unintentionally, fall short. They are quick to offer solutions, to fix problems, or to avoid discomfort, missing the deeper emotional current flowing beneath the surface. The Stoic approach, however, offers a powerful alternative, the cultivation of perceptive presence. Seneca, another prominent Stoic philosopher, emphasized the importance of listening with the intent to understand, not to reply. He spoke of the tranquility that comes from observing without judgment, from sensing without needing to control. This is the skill that, as the original content notes, modern men have often lost, yet it is precisely what is craved, the ability to be felt, not analyzed, to be understood without the need for performance. I recall a particularly poignant experience from my early career. I was working on a demanding project, and my colleague, a brilliant and usually very composed woman, was visibly stressed. She wasn't complaining or expressing her frustration verbally, but her body language, the slight tension in her shoulders, the way she would sigh almost imperceptibly, spoke volumes. My initial instinct, as it often is for many men, was to jump in with suggestions. Have you tried this? Maybe you should delegate that. Can I help you with X, Y, or Z? I thought I was being helpful, being a good colleague. But each suggestion, though well-intentioned, seemed to add another layer of pressure, another expectation for her to explain or justify her state. One afternoon, I saw her at her desk, staring blankly at her screen. Instead of offering another solution, I simply walked over, pulled up a chair, and sat down beside her. I didn't say anything. I didn't ask, "What's wrong?" I just sat there, quietly present. After a minute or two of silence, she turned to me, her eyes a little watery, and simply said, "This is just a lot." I nodded. I didn't offer advice. I didn't try to fix it. I just maintained eye contact, a silent acknowledgement of her struggle. And then, something remarkable happened. She started talking, not about solutions, but about the weight of it all, the emotional toll, the feeling of being overwhelmed. I listened, truly listened, without interrupting, without formulating a response, without judgment. When she finished, she took a deep breath, a visible release of tension, and said, "Thank you. I just needed someone to hear it." That moment taught me more about connection than any self-help book ever could. It wasn't about my words. It was about my presence, my willingness to hold space for her without needing to control or fix her experience. This aligns perfectly with the Stoic practice of sympathia, the interconnectedness of all things, and the understanding that we are all part of a larger whole. When you approach another person with sympathia, you are not just seeing their individual struggle, you are recognizing their shared humanity, their place in the grand tapestry of existence. This fosters a deep sense of empathy that transcends mere intellectual understanding. It's a feeling, a resonance that allows you to connect on a level far beyond words. The original content highlights that wisdom is found not in speech but in perception, in sensing without needing control, in observing without judgment. This is the essence of true attentiveness. It's your capacity to witness her pain, her frustration, her joy, without shrinking from it or feeling compelled to fix it. It's your strength to hold space, not answers. In a world that constantly rushes to speak, to fill every silence, the man who learns to feel without reacting becomes unforgettable. Not for what he says, but for how deeply he listens, for how profoundly he sees. This quiet, consistent attentiveness is one of the deepest emotional openings in a woman's heart. It's not about grand displays or clever lines. It's about the profound respect of truly seeing and acknowledging another's inner world, allowing them the dignity of their own experience without imposing your own agenda. It's about being a silent anchor in her emotional storm, a steady presence that communicates without a single word. I see you, I hear you, and you are not alone. 3. Masculine silence in the right moments. The unspoken authority. Our third insight delves into the profound power of masculine silence, not the silence of abandonment or indifference, but the silence that radiates from a man who has truly mastered his emotions. The original content makes a crucial distinction. There is a silence that destroys, like the cold shoulder or calculated distance meant to punish, and then there is a silence that heals, a silence that is pure presence. This latter form of silence is a rare and potent force, one that very few men achieve the maturity to embody. Most men, when confronted with emotional tension or conflict, panic. They resort to over-talking, over-justifying, or over-explaining, mistakenly believing that a torrent of words equates to control. In reality, such a reaction often reveals emotional instability, a lack of inner grounding. A man who reacts to every provocation, whose inner world is easily disturbed, signals that his emotional foundation is still under construction. Women, as the original content wisely observes, sense this not always consciously, but viscerally. They feel the cracks in your calm. They discern when your silence is born of fear rather than strength. But a man who holds his tongue, not out of pride or stubbornness, but out of principle, who chooses stillness when others rush to speak, that man operates on an entirely different level. This is the essence of Stoic self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, famously wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This applies directly to the realm of communication and emotional regulation. Silence, in this context, is not about retreating. It is about standing your ground without expending precious energy on chaos. When a woman tests you, when emotions run hot, when a conversation veers into manipulative territory, your greatest asset is not your clever retort or your persuasive argument. It is your restraint. It is the discipline to pause, to breathe, to feel the storm without becoming it. I remember a time, early in my career, when I was managing a small team. We were facing a tight deadline and tensions were running high. One of my team members, under immense pressure, lashed out at me during a meeting, accusing me of micromanaging and not trusting her. My immediate, primal instinct was to defend myself, to list all the reasons why her accusations were unfair, to assert my authority. I felt my face flush, my heart pound, but then a small voice, cultivated through years of studying Stoicism, whispered, "Pause, observe, do not react." I took a deep breath. I looked at her, not with anger, but with a calm, steady gaze. I didn't say a word. The silence in the room was palpable, almost uncomfortable. My team member, who had been on a tirade, slowly deflated. Her anger seemed to dissipate in the vacuum of my non-reaction. After what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 10 to 15 seconds, she looked away, her shoulders slumped, and mumbled, "I'm sorry, I'm just really stressed." It was a profound moment for me. My silence, born of deliberate choice and inner discipline, had disarmed her far more effectively than any argument could have. It communicated strength, not weakness, control, not panic. Seneca famously said, "Speech may be silver, but silence is gold when it is timely." This couldn't be more relevant for men navigating the emotional complexities of relationships. The more reactively you speak, the less weight your words carry. But when your silence emanates from a place of grounded awareness, not avoidance, it commands attention, it commands respect. She may not consciously understand it immediately, but she will feel it. In a world drowning in noise, where everyone is clamoring to be heard, that kind of quiet, powerful presence is magnetic. It anchors you. It communicates a profound inner peace that is deeply attractive. This isn't about being emotionally distant or uncommunicative. It's about choosing your moments, about understanding that not every thought needs to be voiced, not every accusation needs to be defended, not every emotional outburst needs to be met with an equally charged response. It's about cultivating the inner stillness that allows you to be an unmoving center in a chaotic world. True masculinity doesn't panic under pressure. It anchors. You don't need to win every argument. You need to win your peace. And sometimes, often, that begins with saying nothing at all, allowing your presence to speak volumes. This is the unspoken authority that draws her in, the quiet strength that makes you unforgettable. It's the profound realization that your greatest power lies not in what you say, but in the deliberate, conscious choice of when not to speak. 4. Deep eye contact that doesn't flinch, the window to the soul. Now, let's turn our gaze to something ancient, something primal, yet often overlooked in our fast-paced, distracted world. The profound power of deep eye contact that doesn't flinch. The original content rightly calls it a forgotten art, emphasizing that it's not the polite glance exchanged in passing, but a gaze that holds its ground, that lingers a second longer when most people look away. That subtle, extended second, as the script notes, is everything. It's where self-respect lives, where fear hides, and sadly, where many men unconsciously reveal their insecurities by flinching. From a Stoic perspective, the eyes are indeed the windows to the soul, not just for others to look in, but for us to project our inner state. When you can hold another person's gaze, especially a woman's, without needing to avert your eyes, without fidgeting, without overthinking, you are demonstrating a profound level of self-mastery. This isn't about aggression or dominance. It's about honesty, presence, and an unshakable inner calm. It communicates, without a single word, that you are grounded, that you are present, and that you have nothing to hide or prove. Most men, as the original content points out, lose power in these moments because they can't sit still in their own skin. When a woman truly looks at them, they retreat into self-doubt, overthinking, or the desperate need to fill the silence. They try to perform, to impress, rather than simply being. But women, with their innate sensitivity, notice. They may not articulate it, but they feel that flicker in your eyes, that subtle shift in your posture. It tells them whether you are solid or merely pretending. The Stoics teach us that strength begins when we stop reacting and start observing. This applies directly to eye contact. When you can observe her, truly see her, without reacting to your own internal anxieties or the need for her approval, you embody a powerful, attractive stillness. I remember a particular incident from my time working in a high-pressure corporate environment. There was a senior executive, a woman known for her sharp intellect and intimidating presence. Many of my male colleagues would visibly shrink in her presence, avoiding eye contact or rushing through their presentations. I too felt the pressure, the urge to prove myself. One day, I was presenting a complex proposal to her. I had rehearsed it countless times, but as I began, I felt the familiar nervousness creeping in. I caught myself about to look away, to break eye contact. But then I remembered the Stoic lesson. Control what you can control. My internal state, my gaze. These were within my power. I consciously decided to maintain steady, calm eye contact. I didn't stare aggressively, but I held her gaze with a quiet confidence, allowing my eyes to convey the conviction I had in my work. She listened intently, her expression unreadable. There were moments of silence after I finished a point, moments where the air felt thick with unspoken questions. Instead of rushing to fill those silences, I simply held her gaze, waiting patiently, confidently. I wasn't trying to win her over. I was simply presenting my truth and allowing her to process it. After what felt like an eternity, she finally broke the silence, not with a critique, but with a thoughtful question that showed she had truly absorbed my presentation. The meeting continued, and I maintained that steady gaze throughout. Later, she approached me and said, "You know, what I appreciate about you, Sophia, is that you don't flinch. You stand your ground." It was a small comment, but it resonated deeply. It wasn't about my words or my presentation skills alone. It was about the unspoken message conveyed through my unwavering presence, reflected in my eyes. It was a moment where my inner Stoic training truly paid off, not just in a professional setting, but in understanding the profound impact of nonverbal communication. This experience solidified my understanding that deep eye contact is not about seduction or manipulation. It is, as the original content states, about self-mastery. When you can hold her gaze without needing to win her over, without needing her approval, you transcend the role of just another man in the room. You become the one she remembers. Your stillness, your calm, your unwavering presence speaks volumes that words never could. It communicates, "I am grounded. I am enough. I am not here to chase. I am here to witness." In a world full of noise, where everyone is clamoring for attention, the man who can meet her eyes and stay still becomes unforgettable. Not because he impressed her with grand gestures, but because he didn't flinch. He simply was. This is the quiet, magnetic power that draws her in, a testament to your inner strength and unwavering self-possession. 5. The need for mysterious depth, the allure of the unread chapter. Let's delve into our fifth insight, one that often trips men up, leading them down paths of superficiality rather than genuine connection, the allure of mysterious depth. The original content highlights a fascinating psychological fact. People are more attracted to those who reveal themselves slowly, not through manipulative games, but by allowing mystery to build naturally through restraint and presence. In an age of relentless oversharing, where every thought, every meal, every fleeting emotion is broadcast to the world, the man who doesn't hand out his entire identity in the first conversation becomes magnetic. He becomes an unread chapter, an intriguing narrative waiting to unfold. However, as the original content astutely observes, many men misunderstand this concept entirely. They confuse mystery with avoidance, with playing hard to get, with being emotionally unavailable. They think disappearing acts, half answers, or a general air of aloofness will make them intriguing. But this isn't mystery. It's immaturity wearing a thin disguise. True masculine mystery, from a Stoic perspective, doesn't hide behind a mask. It rests in quiet confidence, in a profound inner richness that doesn't need to be paraded or explained. A man grounded in Stoic principles doesn't need to explain himself to be understood. He knows that what truly matters isn't the noise he makes, but the weight of his presence, the depth of his character. Consider the Stoic concept of oikeiosis, the idea of self-ownership and appropriation. It speaks to the natural human inclination to care for oneself, to develop one's character, and to expand one's circle of concern. A man who embodies mysterious depth is one who has cultivated a rich inner world, a robust oikiosis. He is not empty, waiting to be filled by external validation or the attention of others. Instead, he is full, self-contained, and therefore, naturally, intriguing. Women aren't drawn to men who vanish and reappear like ghosts. They are drawn to men who feel like complex, multi-layered narratives they want to read slowly. Men who choose their words carefully, who reveal meaning over time, who don't let the world consume them in the first sitting. I remember a period in my life, not so long ago, when I felt an intense pressure to be constantly on. I thought that to be interesting, to be liked, I had to share everything, to be the life of the party, to have a witty retort for every comment. I would overshare details about my life, my past, my aspirations, often within minutes of meeting someone new. I believed that by laying all my cards on the table, I was being authentic and open. In reality, I was often creating a sense of overwhelm, leaving little room for genuine curiosity or discovery. I was, in essence, trying to force connection, rather than allowing it to unfold naturally. I recall a particular social gathering where I met someone new. Within the first 10 minutes, I had recounted a significant portion of my life story, including a few dramatic anecdotes I thought would make me seem more interesting. The person listened politely, but I could sense a subtle disengagement. There was no spark, no lingering curiosity. I had given them the entire book in the first chapter, leaving nothing to anticipate. This experience, among others, led me back to the Stoic teachings on self-containment. It's not emotional isolation. It's the refusal to pour yourself out just to earn someone's curiosity. It's about understanding that your worth is not dependent on how much information you disclose, but on the quality of your presence and the depth of your character. In practice, this means speaking when there's substance, not just for attention. It means being fully present in a conversation without feeling the need to hand over your entire life story as a resume of your worth. It means listening more than you talk, answering only what truly matters, and leaving ample room for discovery. That space you leave, that quiet confidence in your own narrative, that's where attraction truly grows. Not because you're hiding something nefarious, but because you've finally stopped trying to be understood all at once. You've allowed yourself the dignity of a slow reveal, trusting that those who are genuinely interested will invest the time and effort to uncover your layers. This isn't about playing games, it's about protecting your soul, about valuing your inner world enough not to cheapen it with instant gratification. When you live like that, every word you choose to utter carries more weight, every silence becomes a deliberate choice, and every interaction leaves a resonant echo. You become someone who is not easily forgotten, precisely because you are not easily known. If you've been oversharing to feel seen, or trying too hard to prove your worth, stop. Breathe. Reclaim your stillness. Allow people to earn the right to go deeper. This isn't about being mysterious for the sake of it. It's about being whole, about being complete within yourself. And in that wholeness, you become an irresistible force, a captivating enigma that draws others in, not because you're playing a role, but because you are authentically, profoundly, and beautifully yourself. This is the true essence of mysterious depth, an inner world so rich and compelling that others can't help but want to explore it, one carefully chosen chapter at a time. 6. her soft spot for a man with purpose, not just passion, the unwavering compass. Our sixth insight takes us beyond the fleeting allure of mere passion and into the enduring power of purpose. Epictetus, with his characteristic directness, famously declared, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." This isn't just a pithy quote. It's a profound truth that resonates more deeply the older you get, the more you witness the rise and fall of fleeting enthusiasms. Because at some point, all the noise, the ambition, the fire, the excitement, it starts to fade if it's not rooted in something far more substantial. Let's clear up a common misconception. Many men believe that passion alone is enough. They think that if they talk loud, dream big, and chase constantly, that's what makes them impressive. They mistake intensity for impact and enthusiasm for effectiveness. But the truth, as the original content wisely points out, is that passion without direction is just chaos. It's fire without a hearth, intensity without aim. And while women might be drawn to that raw energy for a moment, it's not what makes them stay. What truly grounds her, what actually moves her, is purpose. Think of it this way: passion is the emotional fuel that gets you going, but purpose is the structural integrity that keeps you going when everything else breaks down. Passion can ignite a spark, but purpose builds a lasting flame. Most men talk about what excites them. Far fewer walk daily toward what grounds them. That's the man she remembers. That's the man she trusts. The Stoic man doesn't live by hype. He doesn't need applause or external validation to show up and do the work. He wakes up with questions, not distractions. What is mine to control today? What can I shape with focus, not just force? This is what separates him from the rest. He's not volatile, he's aligned. His actions are not dictated by fleeting desires, but by deeply held principles and a clear vision for his life. I've seen this play out countless times, both in my own life and in the lives of those around me. I once had a friend, let's call him Mark, who was incredibly passionate about a new business venture. He would talk for hours about his grand ideas, his innovative strategies, his boundless enthusiasm. He was charismatic, energetic, and initially, everyone, including his then-girlfriend, was swept up in his fervor. He seemed to embody the very essence of a driven, ambitious man. But as time went on, his passion, while still present, began to feel untethered. He would jump from one idea to the next, constantly chasing the next big thing, but rarely seeing anything through to completion. His energy was infectious, but his direction was erratic. His girlfriend, who had initially been his biggest cheerleader, slowly grew weary. She saw the endless cycles of excitement followed by frustration, the constant starting anew without building anything substantial. She didn't want to be a passenger on a roller coaster. She wanted to build a life with someone who had a clear destination in mind. Contrast this with another friend, David. David wasn't as outwardly flamboyant as Mark. He spoke less about his dreams and more about his daily discipline. He had a clear purpose: to build a sustainable, ethical business that provided real value to his community. He worked diligently, consistently, even when faced with setbacks. His passion was a quiet, steady burn, fueled by his unwavering commitment to his purpose. He didn't seek external validation. His satisfaction came from the work itself, from the incremental progress toward his vision. His partner, who had initially been drawn to his calm demeanor, found herself increasingly impressed by his steadfastness. She saw that he wasn't just talking about his future, he was actively building it brick by brick with quiet determination. She didn't need to worry if he would suddenly abandon his plans or get distracted by the next shiny object. He was a rock, a steady presence, and that stability was profoundly attractive. This is the paradox. The less you chase approval, the more powerful your presence becomes. When you stop burning fast for attention and start burning slow with discipline, she feels it. She feels it in your posture, in your calm, in your clarity. She doesn't want the guy who needs her approval to keep moving. She wants the man who would move the same way with or without her watching. That's what creates trust. That's what turns a man into something unshakable. This isn't about being rigid or inflexible. It's about having a strong inner compass that guides your actions, regardless of external circumstances or fleeting emotions. If you've been mistaking movement for meaning, if you've been chasing passion spikes thinking that will impress her, stop. Anchor your energy. Ask yourself, what am I building that would matter even in silence? What is my true north? That's purpose. And that's what she craves, even if she can't articulate it. Because a man with purpose doesn't need to sell who he is. He lives it. His life becomes a testament to his values, a quiet declaration of his direction. And in a world adrift in fleeting trends and superficial desires, that kind of unwavering purpose is not just attractive, it's a beacon. It's the profound realization that true strength lies not in the intensity of your fire, but in the unwavering direction of your flame. 7. Her hidden yearning to be led without being controlled, the gentle hand of direction. Our seventh insight delves into a subtle, yet profoundly powerful aspect of masculine presence, a woman's hidden yearning to be led, but crucially, without being controlled. The original content introduces this with a beautiful anecdote about an older couple at a train station, where the man, through quiet presence and a simple act of taking bags, shifted the entire emotional atmosphere. This moment, as the script notes, captured what most men miss. True leadership isn't about barking orders or trying to out-talk emotion. It's about creating an atmosphere where a woman feels safe enough to stop performing, to stop leading everything herself. In today's world, many women have spent decades holding it all together, professionally, personally, emotionally. They are often the primary organizers, the planners, the emotional anchors in their families and relationships. This constant state of being on, of being in charge, can be incredibly exhausting. What they often yearn for, though rarely articulate, is a space where they can simply be, where they can trust that someone else has the rudder, not to dictate their course, but to provide a steady hand through turbulent waters. This isn't about surrendering autonomy, it's about finding a complementary strength, a shared burden, a sense of reliable direction. From a Stoic perspective, this form of leadership aligns with the concept of virtue as practical wisdom, phronesis. It's about knowing the right thing to do at the right time, in the right way, and executing it with calm resolve. It's not about dominance, but about direction. It's about the man who doesn't crumble when things get messy, who doesn't need to win arguments, who doesn't chase comfort. Instead, he holds the room steady, he leads with calm. And in doing so, he becomes unforgettable. This leadership is not about imposing your will, but about embodying a steadfastness that inspires trust and allows others to relax into your presence. I vividly recall a challenging period in my life when I was juggling a demanding job, caring for a sick family member, and dealing with a personal crisis. I was, to put it mildly, overwhelmed. I prided myself on my independence, on my ability to handle everything myself. I rarely asked for help, believing it was a sign of weakness. My partner at the time, a kind and well-meaning man, would often try to help by offering advice, suggesting solutions, or trying to logically dissect my problems. While his intentions were good, his approach often felt like another demand on my already stretched mental resources. I didn't need more analysis. I needed a reprieve from the constant mental load. One evening, after a particularly draining day, I came home feeling utterly defeated. I slumped onto the couch, tears welling up. My partner walked in, saw me, and instead of asking what was wrong or offering a solution, he simply sat down beside me. He didn't say a word, he just gently took my hand and held it. After a few minutes, he got up, went to the kitchen, and returned with a warm cup of tea. He placed it in my hands, sat back down, and continued to hold my hand. He didn't try to fix me. He didn't try to make me talk. He simply was there. His presence was a quiet anchor in my storm. In that moment, I felt an immense sense of relief, a profound safety. It was the first time in weeks I felt like I could truly let go, even for a moment. He wasn't controlling me. He was simply leading me to a place of calm, a space where I could exhale. He wasn't telling me what to do. He was showing me, through his quiet strength, that I didn't have to carry the weight alone. This experience profoundly shaped my understanding of true leadership in relationships. It's not about being the loudest voice or the one with all the answers. It's about being the steady presence, the one who can hold the frame when chaos threatens to engulf everything. It's about the man who doesn't need to win arguments, who doesn't chase comfort, but who embodies a calm resolve that allows a woman to feel secure enough to be vulnerable, to drop her guard, and to trust. This is the essence of Stoic leadership. Leading by example, by embodying virtue, by being a source of stability and reason in an often unreasonable world. When a man can provide this kind of calm, steady direction, he becomes a sanctuary. He becomes the space where she doesn't have to perform, where she doesn't have to be strong all the time. He becomes the one who, without needing to say it, communicates, "You are safe here. I've got this." This isn't about traditional gender roles. It's about a fundamental human need for security and a complementary dynamic where both partners can thrive. It's about the man who leads through calm, not because he needs to say it, but because it's time to be it. This quiet, magnetic force is far more powerful than any overt display of control. It's the profound understanding that true strength lies not in dominating, but in guiding with a gentle, unwavering hand, creating a shared path where both can walk with confidence and peace. 8. Her vulnerability to words that paint new worlds, the architect of inner landscapes. Our 8th insight brings us to a fascinating and often underestimated aspect of human connection, a woman's profound vulnerability to words that paint new worlds. The original content cites studies in cognitive neuroscience, revealing that women retain emotionally charged language longer than neutral content, not just in memory, but in emotional response. this isn't about manipulation. It's about resonance. And if you truly grasp how deep that connection runs, you begin to realize something most men completely miss. Your words matter more than you think. Let's be clear. This isn't about reciting clever lines, memorizing pickup artist scripts, or pretending to be poetic. That kind of performance wears thin, and it wears thin fast. True power in communication, as the original content rightly states, comes from presence. When you are fully in the moment, grounded, and your words aren't driven by the desperate need to impress, but by clarity and genuine intention, something magical happens. Women don't respond to perfection. They respond to language that reflects depth, authenticity, and emotional insight. A sentence delivered with stillness, intention, and genuine emotional understanding can cut through her walls faster than 100 flashy compliments or empty platitudes. Stoicism, at its core, trains this kind of inner clarity. A Stoic man doesn't speak merely to be heard. He speaks because he is aligned. His words are a reflection of his cultivated inner world, his reasoned judgments, and his commitment to truth. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, famously wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Extend that wisdom. Her mind, her inner landscape, becomes dyed with the color of your words. If you bring presence, insight, and emotional intelligence into how you speak, you become unforgettable. You don't just fill silence, you paint internal landscapes. You co-create realities. I remember a time when I was struggling with a significant personal decision. I had been going over the pros and cons endlessly in my head, talking to friends, seeking advice, but I felt stuck in a loop of indecision. One evening, I was talking to a mentor, a woman I deeply respected for her wisdom and clarity. I laid out my dilemma, presenting all the facts, all the logical arguments for each side. I was looking for a solution, a definitive answer. She listened patiently, without interrupting, her gaze steady and empathetic. When I finished, she didn't offer a direct solution. Instead, she paused, and then she said, very softly, "Sophia, sometimes the path isn't about choosing between two good options, but about choosing the one that sings to your soul." Her words weren't complex, but they were imbued with such profound insight and emotional resonance that they bypassed my logical mind and went straight to my heart. It was as if she had handed me a key to a locked room within myself. The phrase "sings to your soul" created an entirely new framework for my decision-making. It wasn't about logic anymore. It was about alignment, about an inner harmony. Her words didn't tell me what to do, but they painted a new world of possibility, a new way of perceiving my dilemma. The decision, once agonizing, became clear. This experience taught me the immense power of language, not as a tool for persuasion or manipulation, but as a medium for connection and transformation. It's about understanding that words are not just carriers of information, they are architects of meaning, sculptors of perception. When you speak with intention, with a genuine desire to connect and to understand, your words carry a weight, a resonance that transcends their literal meaning. This is why a simple, heartfelt compliment can mean more than an extravagant gift, or why a carefully chosen phrase of understanding can heal deeper wounds than any logical argument. This is the essence of speaking with vision. It's about recognizing that every time you open your mouth, you have the opportunity to shape her inner world, to contribute to her sense of self, to either uplift or diminish. It's about choosing your words not just for their accuracy, but for their emotional impact, for their ability to resonate with her deepest self. It's about understanding that the most powerful communication isn't about what do you say, but how you make her feel, how you expand her perspective, how you help her see herself and the world in a new, more empowering light. So, ask yourself next time you speak, are you merely passing through her inner world, or are you shaping it? Are you just making noise, or are you painting a new, beautiful landscape for her soul to inhabit? This is the profound, magnetic power of words, wielded with Stoic clarity and presence. This concept often gets misinterpreted as playing games, being aloof, or threatening to leave. But that's a superficial understanding. The ability to walk away in this context is not about physical departure. It's about emotional detachment from outcomes, about having an inner command that doesn't react to drama, doesn't fold under pressure, and doesn't try to outtalk the storm. It simply is. It's the profound understanding that your peace, your inner tranquility, is not dependent on her emotional state or her reactions. It's about being emotionally untouchable, not in a cold or uncaring way, but in a way that demonstrates unwavering self-possession. 9. The unspoken need for a man who can walk away, the anchor in the storm. Finally, we arrive at our 9th and perhaps most counterintuitive insight. The unspoken, profound need for a man who can walk away. The original content beautifully illustrates this with the story of Andre, the 61-year-old former Marine, whose quiet, steady presence allowed Linda, a fiercely independent woman, to soften and trust. Andre didn't try to lead her or impress her. He simply listened, allowed her storm to settle against the stillness of his silence, and in doing so, created a safe space where she didn't have to protect herself. This is the key. Emotional safety isn't about fixing problems. It's about creating a space where she doesn't have to be on guard.
From a Stoic perspective, this aligns perfectly with the concept of adiaphora, things indifferent. While we should act with virtue and compassion, the reactions and opinions of others are ultimately indifferent to our inner peace. We control our judgments and our actions, not the external world or the emotions of others. When a man embodies this, he communicates a profound sense of self-sufficiency. He doesn't need her chaos to define him, nor does he need her approval to validate him. He is complete within himself, and this completeness creates a powerful, magnetic field around him. I remember a period in my life when I was in a relationship that was, to put it mildly, tumultuous. My partner was prone to dramatic emotional swings, and I, in my misguided attempt to be supportive and loving, would often get completely swept up in them. If she was upset, I was upset. If she was angry, I felt the need to either fix it immediately or defend myself. I was constantly reacting to her emotional state, trying to manage it, trying to control it, trying to make her happy so that I could feel happy. It was an exhausting cycle, and it left me feeling drained and resentful. I was, in essence, giving away my inner peace, making it contingent on her emotional stability.
One evening, after a particularly intense argument, I found myself pacing, my mind racing, trying to figure out what I could say or do to de-escalate the situation. I was desperate to make things right. But then, a thought, almost like a whisper from my Stoic studies, entered my mind. What if I just stopped? What if I stopped trying to fix it, stopped trying to control her emotions, and simply focused on my own inner state? It was a radical idea for me at the time. I decided then and there to disengage from the emotional drama. I didn't walk out of the room in anger. I simply sat down, took a deep breath, and focused on my breathing. I acknowledged her anger, but I didn't absorb it. I didn't react. I didn't try to argue or explain. I simply held my frame. It was incredibly difficult at first. Every fiber of my being wanted to jump back into the fray, to defend, to appease, but I held firm. I remained calm, present, and unmoving. After a few minutes, her anger, which had been raging, began to dissipate. She looked at me, bewildered by my non-reaction. The energy of the argument had nowhere to go. It was like a fire that had run out of fuel. Eventually, she softened. She didn't apologize for her outburst, but her tone shifted, and we were able to have a calm, rational conversation. That moment was a turning point for me. I realized that my ability to remain unmoved, to walk away from the emotional drama without physically leaving, was my greatest strength. It wasn't about being cold, it was about being an anchor.
This is the essence of the unspoken need for a man who can walk away. You don't unlock her softness by demanding it. You don't get there by lecturing, pleasing, or fixing. You get there by showing, through calm, consistent presence, that no matter how loud the world gets, you remain unmoved. Not emotionally distant, but emotionally untouchable by external chaos. This is Stoicism in action. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. Be the space where she exhales. Be the man who never needs to say, 'You can trust me,' because she feels it in how you sit, how you breathe, how you respond when her chaos shows up. When you embody this, you become a safe harbor. You become the one who earns her softness not by pushing, but by holding the frame steady until she chooses to step into it on her own." This profound inner command, this ability to be an unmoving center in a world of constant flux, is not just attractive, it's transformative. It allows her to drop her guard, to be vulnerable, to trust that she is safe with you, not because you will fix all her problems, but because you will not be shaken by them. This is the ultimate expression of masculine strength, the quiet, unwavering presence that allows her to find her own calm in your steady gaze. Conclusion: becoming the unforgettable man. If you've watched this far, it's clear you're done playing small. You're done chasing approval. You're ready to lead with presence, not noise. What we've explored today wasn't just about understanding what some might call female weaknesses. It was about uncovering your own power, your own capacity for self-mastery, and your ability to cultivate a profound, magnetic presence that transcends superficial attraction. We've journeyed through 9 critical insights, each rooted in the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. 1. Confidence that doesn't ask for permission. The unshakable core that radiates from within, independent of external validation. 2. Being understood without explaining everything. The power of perceptive presence, offering a space for genuine connection without the burden of constant articulation. 3. Masculine silence in the right moments. The unspoken authority that commands respect through calm restraint and inner discipline. 4. Deep eye contact that doesn't flinch. The window to the soul, reflecting unwavering self-mastery and honest presence. 5. The need for mysterious depth, the allure of the unread chapter, revealing a rich inner world slowly and authentically. 6. Her soft spot for a man with purpose, not just passion, the unwavering compass that provides stability and trust through clear, disciplined direction. 7. Her hidden yearning to be led without being controlled, the gentle hand of direction offering a safe space for her to relax and trust. 8. Her vulnerability to words that paint new worlds, the architect of inner landscapes, shaping perception and connection through intentional, emotionally resonant language. 9. The unspoken need for a man who can walk away, the anchor in the storm, demonstrating profound inner command and emotional untouchability. These aren't just theories, they are practices. They are daily disciplines that, when consistently applied, will transform not just your relationships, but your entire life. This isn't about being the nice guy who finishes last. This is about becoming the right man, the man of substance, integrity, and profound inner strength. The man who doesn't flinch, the man who doesn't need to prove his worth because he embodies it. The man who, by mastering himself, becomes a magnetic force for good in the lives of those around him. Remember, her chaos dies in your calm. Your ability to remain steady, grounded, and present in the face of life's inevitable storms is your greatest asset. It's what allows her to soften, to trust, to truly connect with the authentic man you are becoming. This journey of self-mastery, guided by Stoic principles, is not always easy. It requires introspection, discipline, and a willingness to confront your own insecurities. But the rewards are immeasurable. Deeper connections, profound respect, and an unshakable sense of inner peace. If this felt like a mirror, good. That's where growth begins. If you're done being forgettable, if you're ready to evolve quietly, powerfully, permanently, then hit that subscribe button. Join our community, because here we don't just talk about philosophy, we live it, we become it. And in doing so, we transform our lives and the lives of those we touch. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and keep cultivating that unshakable inner calm.